Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of AMAP, aka As Many As Possible, where I try to review as many movies and TV shows as I possibly can on a streaming service, and I'm using HBO Max, not a sponsor. Today's episode, we're reviewing The Conjuring 2. This film is once again directed by James Wan, who directed the first film. If you haven't seen the first film, definitely check it out. It is worth your time. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I thought this film was actually better than the first one. Let's start with the directing like last time. James Wan upped his game. He further proves that he understands the horror genre and what horror fans are looking for. The film is scarier. The atmosphere is creepier. The tension is higher. Everything has been elevated from the previous film. There are so many interesting tracking shots, zoom shots like the first one where it had slow zooms. Those are in here as well. You got interesting transitions. It's great to see these interesting camera movements because they don't have to be there, but they are because it further elevates this film. It isn't just a static camera. The camera is constantly moving, and it brings this sort of energy to the film that wouldn't be there if it was directed by someone else. The acting is actually even better this time. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga reprised their roles as Ed and Lorraine Warren. I loved them in the first film, but in this film, it just made me love them even more. Their relationship and connection with each other is just so great. It feels so real and genuine that you care for them so much, and you don't want to see them fail. You don't want to see them lose each other. And that even builds up the tension because once one starts to get threatened, you really don't want to see them lose. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga did an amazing job in this film, but I can't do this review without crediting the kids in this film. Their acting is so good in the movie. This girl, I apologize, I don't remember the actress's name. I'm just going to call her Janet, the character's name. She's the one that is being tormented by this demon. She has to constantly be in this state of fear. It doesn't feel fabricated. It feels very real. Her acting is incredible. The mother's acting is incredible. Her siblings, especially Billy, the stuttering kid, his acting is great in this movie. And it's really impressive to see these kids really know how to act and bring this genuine emotion to the screen. In my opinion, in this film, I connected with the family a lot more than I did in the previous film. You did get a few scenes in the original movie where you had Lorraine talking to the mother about her trip to the beach, and I was talking about how that family felt a little underdeveloped. But Ed and Lorraine, I feel, really connect with this family. They feel like they're actually with them this time. They actually feel like they really care for them. There are two scenes that I particularly love that includes this girl. There's one scene with her and Lorraine talking outside where they're both on the swings, and that brings the characters even closer together. And there's a scene with her and Ed in the kitchen where he's trying to fix their sink, and they have this cute little scene where they talk about potentially having a monster under your bed and facing your fears and stuff like that. And I really loved it. Those scenes were very cute, but also very important because they connected our families together, making the climactic ending even more suspenseful. What I also love about the family is that they're battling their own issues. One thing that I didn't talk about was in the previous film, the family didn't feel, I'll say, real. It was a new family coming into a new home, and it felt very clean and sort of a little too good to be true. In this film, you actually have the family dealing with their own problems. You got a single mother having to deal with 4 kids. The home is much more run down, dirtier. It feels much older as well. And that further emphasized the atmosphere, this eeriness that is done beautifully in this film by James Wan and everyone else. But yeah, I think I actually liked the family in this film more than I did in the previous one. It just felt more genuine to me. The monsters were great. The scene with Lorraine and the nun was terrifying, but it was amazing. I loved that scene. But probably my favorite monster in this film, was the Crooked Man. He has such a cool design. He's so creepy. He's so interesting, But what's so great about him is that he's
aggressive.
He feels like an actual threat. It's interesting, you know? I noticed that James Wan really knows how to utilize these characters, utilize these monsters so much that they actually make spin-off movies off of those monsters. You have Annabelle, The Nun. There's even talks about the Crooked Man film, which, if it's gonna happen, and I hope it is, I want them to do justice because I loved this monster in this movie. The Crooked Man was so interesting. His design was cool. He was terrifying. He was aggressive, and I loved every second he was on screen. I thought overall this movie was amazing, better than the first. But if we want to go into flaws, maybe you can consider this a flaw or not, but this film does feel a bit more fabricated than the first film. I do think that the first film was a bit more grounded. Maybe that's a flaw, maybe it's not. Maybe some people will care, maybe others won't, but it wasn't a problem. It was just something I noticed. Overall, this movie was amazing. I liked it better than the first. If you haven't seen the film, please do check it out. It is worth your time. It's got great jump scares, great directing, great It's got great directing, It's got great directing, great cinematography, great acting, great scares, great tension, great atmosphere. It's amazing. I love the film. I'm going to have to give the film a 9 out of 10. Yay! Anyways, that's my review of The Conjuring 2. I will be covering The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, and then from there, we see what other movies I can discover on HBO Max. I'll see you guys next time on the next episode of AMAP.